I'm Kev.
And I'm Steve.
And we're from the internet.
Want to get your question answered on a future episode of We're From The Internet? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/question, tweet your questions at KevinSteve, email kevinsteve@gmail.com, or post them at facebook.com/KevinSteve, or even leave them in the comments for this episode.
Would you rather everyone always knew what you were thinking, or never being understood?
Well, you're never understood anyway, so would you like it if instead of that, people knew what you were thinking?
I think you get used to it after a while.
What, not being understood?
No, I just think you'd get used to everyone knowing what you were thinking, so you wouldn't have to think mean things.
You wouldn't be able to stop yourself.
I don't know, I think you would, or you'd suppress it to another level, like you'd have your subconscious.
No, that doesn't count. You're still thinking it. You can't, this isn't real thinking, I'm going to put this to one side and think about it in a slightly different way that people magically can't read.
No, but it'd be a good thing ultimately, wouldn't it? If you thought, I don't agree with that, or that was stupid, or she's looking a bit fat today, or whatever. Eventually people would be like, I can't believe you thought that, but everyone else around you would be going, yeah, I thought the same thing, and you just feel vindicated quite often because people would be like, yeah, I thought the same. Yeah,
but then you'd get all those times where you'd just be like stood on a train platform just thinking, I hope someone falls off.
I don't ever think that. That's horrific.
Well, you must think it occasionally, just like, wonder what would happen. The amount of times thoughts jump into my head and start with, I wonder what would happen if.
And well, that's a bit different.
They never end well.
No, that's a bit different. But then, yeah, I suppose if people near me could just hear me going... What was that?
That was perfect timing. That's what that was. That was a notification on my phone for Rival Kingdoms. But now it's. I wonder what would happen if people around me heard me thinking. That's one of the greatest moments in radio. I really hope that came through on the microphone.
I do. Otherwise, we just sound
I'm editing afterwards if it didn't.
But, if people can hear me just thinking, I wonder what would happen if, they're not going to be that offended. And if I don't know. I suppose the only time it's going to be a trouble is if, like, I was sat on a train back from Birmingham and a fella on there...
This is eerily specific, almost as if this is...
It did happen. This fella was being really, really abusive to everyone around him, and I just obviously sat there just thinking, like, shut up, get lost, stop being an idiot.
So he'd punch you in the face?
Exactly, he would have stabbed me, because he was properly violent and he had to be dragged off. But I'd probably have to just change carts to get away from him if he could hear what I was thinking.
But he'd have heard you thinking, I change carts because this guy's an idiot.
No, you'd have to come up with a way around it, like just listen to a song and think about the lyrics, wouldn't you?
What about then never being understood?
Well, I live that anyway, really. I never get understood.
What?
I'm terrible at explaining things.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one because I'm completely terrified of the idea of people being able to hear what goes on in my head, because I realise I have a very, very broken brain that thinks some really cruel, horrible... You think some of the things I say are bad, and people are constantly telling me I'm a bad person who says bad things, but if the filter... There's so much. I would say 80% of the things I think are filtered out. No, you can't say that. That's really offensive, really inappropriate.
I tend to say those
that.
Things,
it's awful. And the idea of all those things spilling out, I wouldn't be able to hold down a job. But then I'm a teacher. I probably wouldn't be able to hold down a job if I couldn't ever get people to understand me either. So either of them are going to completely ruin my life. I don't want either of them. Give me a third option. A third option where I can keep all my opinions to myself and explain the ones that I want to explain. That would be a good one. I wonder what that would be like.
We'll never know. So you want both options?
No, I want neither option.
Well, sorry.
both options. Although, having both options would actually cancel it out. Because if people could hear everything you were thinking but didn't understand what you were thinking, that's fine. You can then go about your business and think whatever you want. No problem. You can go around happily living your life then.
What would you do if... Actually, I was say, what would you do if everyone always did the opposite of what you said, but then you just start speaking in opposites, wouldn't you?
Or thinking in opposites, because everyone can hear me thinking. I think either of them would be ripe for fun, because the other thing is, you're getting back to the scenario where you've got the man on the train who just starts attacking you for no reason. He's going to look like a crazy person. Well, he was thinking bad things about me.
But everyone would hear it, wouldn't they, around him?
Yeah, but no one will be able to prove it. When they watch the video back for evidence, you're just sat there minding your own business, whistling, listening to music, trying to take your mind off of it, and this man just starts attacking you, saying, "Stop thinking that!" He'd look insane.
What if you could hear everyone's thoughts, but no one could hear each other's?
I'd quite like to hear what other people are thinking. Although, would it just send you into a spiral of depression and anxiety when you realise what people actually really thought about you at all times?
Yeah, I think that'd wind me up.
You'd have to have a pretty thick skin to be able to hear what other people were thinking.
I doubt you'd care. You often hear what other people think about you and you just ignore it. Whereas I don't think I'd like that at all.
Yeah, so spinning the question around, which would be your preference? Always hearing what everyone else is thinking or never being able to understand anybody else? I mean, for that's clear. I don't care what other people have to say, so I'll just have never understanding them because I don't take their opinions into consideration anyway. So for me, you just give me an extra layer of fun to have if I can hear what they're thinking, especially if they don't know I can hear what they're thinking, because I would have so much fun messing with people.
I think I'd like to hear what people thought, because I'd get used to the fact that they're all just like, oh, it's this fat idiot again. And after a while, I could just become the world's best detective. Because I'd be like, you did it, and he'd think, oh, he's caught me out. No, I didn't. And I go, I heard your thoughts, and you're under arrest.
No, you don't reveal that you've heard your thoughts.
Well, okay.
If you reveal that you've heard, yeah, exactly. You have to spin it out a little bit. You know who it is almost immediately. You're there interviewing people, and obviously straight away you know the one that's done it.
Taking an hourly rate.
Yeah, you have to spin it out over the course of several weeks. Go and dust for prints and be a maverick cop. So you're there, you just completely cover the room in talcum powder and start getting a big paintbrush out. Just, what's he doing? That's not how you dust for prints. I have a method, and it'd be brilliant. Again, it's just the opportunity to mess with people to your heart's content. That's a TV show.
You'd
right
start
there.
saying, wouldn't you? Like, I bet you a pint. I can't, that I can guess whatever number you're thinking of and whatever they think of.
People would get wise to that quickly, though. You need to make it something that's.
So they wouldn't be able to figure out why, because
they
they didn't assume that mind reading didn't exist. Whenever someone does that, pick a minus number. No one ever goes for minus numbers.
Yeah, but now if we ever play that game now I know you're going to guess minus numbers. Obviously, you'll say I'm thinking -7 because everyone always goes for 7. So if you're flipping it on the minus, you'd go -7. You're Darren Browning me now. You're setting me up for a con. The next time we're in a pub, but your opponent can't guess a number. I'm there going -7. I've got him. But now I've said -7. You realise I'm trying to Darren Brown you back again, and we're both going to end up on -2 because -2 is going to be the next. There's basically bluff upon bluff upon bluff here, and there could be.
I've caught you right out, haven't I?
I know.
Done you like a kipper.
I bet you a pint that you can't guess what number I'm thinking.
-10.
Yes! -14!
Damn.
But now, did I just win a pint?
I think you did.
Oh, fantastic. Can I cash that in now?
No.
I'll cash that in at MGPX. That would be delightful. I could have one of the sheepdog pints.
What, because you won a bet? That seems a bit unfair. People are paying, 25 quid?
Do I win or have a pint with sheepdog ticket? Because all the years we've been doing that show, I've never had a pint with you.
You've never had a pint with me ever, because I usually drink them before you sat down.
Yeah, but I've had drinks with you outside of MGPX, but we've never drunk together at MGPX, and I don't feel that I should have to pay £25 for the privilege.
No one should.
People do! Want to get every episode of We're From The Internet at least a day earlier than the iTunes and Stitcher folk? Head over to we'refromtheinternet.com/pledge to support us on Patreon, and as well as early access, we'll throw in an exclusive weekly show just for our patrons too.